We're ready for the start. They're off.
A TGIF, everyone. Welcome into the First Call podcast. Jeremy Plonk, Jeff Siegel with First Bet and Express Bet. Time to preview the weekend stakes as we do. But before we get to all the big action on Saturday, Jeff, this is a pretty important day for winter racing. We've got opening day at Oaklawn for their long season that'll run through Kentucky Derby Day. Also, the California scene shifts today to Los Alamitos. So a couple different changes of venue. It's starting to feel like winter.
It is. It's very cold out here where I am. It's like 65. I'm freezing.
Oh.
I hope it doesn't get any colder because, I'm not real good in cold weather. But no, I've actually got a couple of best plays on the website at expressbet.com for opening day at Fairgrounds, and we'll be covering wherever best plays take us. It doesn't have to be one track or the other. We just kind of shop around, so to speak, and then we'll be concentrating on December 26th and throughout the winter and spring at Santa Anita and Gulfstream when the big meetings begin there. So we're looking forward to that. But in the meantime, trying to make some money somewhere else. And we've got some best plays and some good selections, I hope, for Saturday, as we usually do here. Got 8 races, and we'll move around. Gulfstream, Fairgrounds tomorrow, and Big A, Oaklawn Park has got some nice races there. Golden Gate, give them some love. They got a big field up there in the Bear Fan. And then Los Al on the Start, where Bob Baffert will be seeking his 6th consecutive Starlet win. So, and he's probably going to get it, by the way.
Yeah. Big lineup of races, as we talked about domestically. Also, a little more action if you're not just playing the North American Thoroughbreds this weekend. You got the Champion of Champions at Los Alamitos on Saturday night. Goes off about 11:30 Eastern, race 8 on the card at Los Al. Big one there, the world champion Danger. You got the defending champ in that race as well, Apolitical Pence. So a great edition of the Champion of Champions if you're a quarter horse fan, or even if you don't follow quarter horse racing. Check out the Champion of Champions Grade 1 on Saturday night. And then a little bit later, or right about that time, the card at Hong Kong is going to start. First post 11:25 Eastern. So right before the Champion of Champions, the Hong Kong card is going to start, where there are 4 races for the Hong Kong International Championships, 4 turf races, great Group 1s. Fantastic card. We're going to preview some of that with some international help a little bit later here in our podcast, Jeff. But let's get started at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, where there are a couple of stakes races on the turf, the Pulpit and the Wait a While. The Wait a While stakes, of course, that makes sense. It's a turf stakes. I don't think Pulpit ever saw the grass, but the stakes race for Pulpit is on the turf. Let's start there. Race number 4, the Pulpit, 7.5 on the grass. These are 2-year-olds. These are the Colts and Geldings. And in this race, Jeff, we've got a field of 8 and a little familiarity within a couple of these coming out of the same race, that being the juvenile stakes on the synthetic, Animestic and Dangerous Ride. Let's go back and take a look at their matchup last time that sets the table towards today's Pulpit.
Sweet Horses 5th. T-Gray ridden out. They're past 3/4, 114 into 4. Big Save battles on with Cheerful Charlie. 4 outside. Adam Nestic begins to roll up. Super Blessings in between horses. Dangerous Ride takes a peek down at the inside. It's Adam Nestic, though, down the center, who takes over the short lead in deep stretch. Adam Nestic and Edgar Perez are up to Wedded. Very close for place. Look like Dangerous Ride slipped through that at the inside to grab that spot in 142 and 4.
A little bit of a controversial DQ there, I thought, as Animestic drifted in a little bit, but I don't think it affected the outcome of the finish. DQ'd and taken out of the win in that stakes. They put Dangerous Ride up, not affected at all in that situation. That was a fortuitous put up for that runner. But, Jeff, that was a synthetic race on the Tapeta. We go to the turf in the Pulpit Stakes, and that race sure looked like a synthetic finish, right? About 8 horses within 2-3 lengths at the wire. Do you think that translates here, or are we looking for somebody elsewhere?
I'm looking for someone else. Now, as you mentioned, it's not that unusual when you see in a synthetic race the whole field finishing in a heap like that, because there is no kickback, and horses are much more willing to kind of hang in there and take that sand, that whatever it is, being smeared back in their face. But I didn't think that was a great race, and I agree that was kind of a I don't know, disqualification. I know I would have been rather upset if I was involved wagering wise and had the winner take down there.
15-1.
Yeah, I mean that. Come on, I mean ticky tack, and the one thing, maybe he came over and maybe he caused a little bit of steadying, but you got to protect the better too, not just the owner and the trainer and the jockey there. And if you had that horse on top and got DQ, you might be walking out of that track and not coming back for a while. Having said that, I do believe that the winner comes from somewhere else. And Ari Gold, who shows up here from the Big A after breaking his maiden. He's a lightly raced son of Medaglia d'Oro. He was fourth in his first 2 starts. First time out, going 2 turns. He ran okay in that race. Then W.H. Nell, second start, beat him. Very good colt, and did that over a sloppy track. So I'm not going to hold Ari Gold, for that. It's still a decent race when he was fourth. Then comes back and breaks his maiden on grass and does it in style. Earns a very strong 80 Beyer number when he wins at Aqueduct. Good colt. I think this colt is just kind of figuring things out. He's got good speed. He doesn't. I don't think he needs the lead, but I think he'll be forwardly placed here. Right. And I do think at 9-5 in the morning line, not a great price, but I think he deserves to be that price. And I would expect that if with another forward move, this Todd Pletcher trained colt steps up and wins this race. Ari Gold.
I don't see a lot of speed in there, so I think he does just go to the front. I don't think he needs the lead, but I don't think there's anybody really to take it away from him. And Luis Sai is an aggressive rider with a 4 draw there. They'll want to get into that first turn and save all the ground. So I would imagine Ari Gold to the front, try to improve the position from there, as they say. Let's go to our second handicapping task of the weekend. It's the Wait a While Stakes. Todd Pletcher trainee Wait a While had an excellent turf career. This race at 7.5 on the grass, just like the Pulpit Stakes. This is the sister race, 2-year-old fillies going in this one. And Jeff, there's a little more stakes experience in this one. You got horses coming out of the Matron, the Salima, the Jessamine. There's some quality horses here domestically. Delight coming out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf. And then you've got a horse, Malimu, that you want to take a look at, who's in from Ireland off a career debut victory.
She is an English Channel filly. She ran in the all-weather at Dundalk, and that's a left-handed all-weather track. And I really like the way she won that race. We don't have the video, but we have a workout for her, and she's on the outside here. This was a recent work just about a week ago, I think. And she's on the outside of a horse named Kentucky Pharaoh, who was an older stakes winner at Gulfstream. And so that's a tough customer she's working with. And she's going to finish a neck back, but she's never being asked here at any stage, finishing right there with the older workmate, good workmate. So that's a good tightener. She won in the early part of October overseas. She won a 14-runner field. She came from off the pace, weaved her way through traffic, and looked really good winning that race. And now she shows up following a private purchase for Winning Connections. And I think that this is a filly who, against 2-year-olds, as opposed to working here with an older stakes winner, is going to find this competition well within her range. I mentioned that her first start came against on all-weather, but as a daughter of English Channel, there's no reason why she shouldn't be just as good, if not better, on turf. And she's 8-1 on the morning line. And in evaluating her win at Dundalk and looking at the competition here, I think she's right there with these horses at a decent price. So I like Malimu number 7 at 8-1 to pull off a surprise here on the Wait a While.
And it was nice to see those works from Palm Meadows. That makes you feel like winter's coming, right? The championship meet's right around the corner because XBTV's got the cameras rolling in South Florida. Great that we can get, even here in December, a look at a first-time international horse. One of the great advantages of what we do with XBTV and with First that you can't get anywhere else. You're not going to see a work like that on an international horse at any other track. Other than, say, Santa Anita or at Gulfstream with what we're doing with XBTV. So tip of the cap to the crew there on the ground already at Palm Meadows getting set. And when we get to the championship meet and, of course, the classic meet at Santa Anita, both opening December 26th, going to be loaded with works to take a look at. And that's great for handicappers no matter where you play. Let's go now to our schedule and look at Fairgrounds on Saturday, where it is Louisiana Champions Day. No turf racing, so everything for the champions this year on the main track. Several stakes races for the Louisiana breds up and down the line. And Jeff, Touch Upon a Star is an interesting one in here, coming off a big sprint win. Has never gone long, but they're going for the money, $150,000 in the classic purse. So the Louisiana Champions Day Classic at 1 1/8. It's a big step up in distance, but this is an exciting 3-year-old Louisiana bred, Touch Upon a Star by Star Guitar. Jeff Delhomme trains. What do you make of this one, going long and taking on the Elders?
Well, I think he's going long. He's also entered in the next race, I think that's the no, it is the next race. It's the one of the sprint races they're offering. So he can go one or the other, but I hope he stays here.
Yeah.
The sprint race is pretty competitive. Here, I don't know whether he'll go 1 1/8. The 7 furlong overnight race that he won at Delta was a 2-turn race for whatever that's worth. But and he did it easily. He looked like a horse that would go 1.25 miles if you asked him. And he's clearly the controlling speed here, Jeremy. I mean, he's going to make the running here. And he took heat in the race at Delta, obviously not of this level, but he shook clear, one eased up, never asked to drop. He's only had 5 starts with 3 wins. There's no reason his sire went long, so there's no reason especially given the trip that he's going to get, he's going to make the lead and just, I hope, run everybody into the ground. But first of all, his connections have to opt for this race as opposed to the sprint, which I hope he does. Now, we do have a 4 to 5 morning line horse here, and Who Took the Money? A lot of ones next to his name. In fact, he's won 9 out of 13. He's won his last 3, 4 out of his last 5. He's fast on figs, triple-digit buyer number 2 races back. He's clearly the 4 to 5 undeserving favorite, but he doesn't really have any tactical speed. He comes from way out of it. Now, he seems to get there. I'll give him that. Yeah. But he's going to spot Touch Upon a Star, a rather significant lead here, and hopefully they don't respect the leader, and at 6 to 1, Touch Upon a Star can step forward and then pull off a surprise. So that's, for me, number 3, Touch Upon a Star, to pull off an upset in the Champions Day Classic.
And if you're not a big weight handicapper, I get that. I mean, I think physics do play into this, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you carry more mass over distance. It does make things more difficult. This is a 9-pound difference between those two over 1 1/8. I mean, even if you're not a weight person, you got to like getting 9 pounds over 1 1/8.
No, I do. I can for sure, Now, he is a 3-year-old tackling older, so that's why he gets that, and he's unproven. But I just think this is a nice horse. And again, visually, we don't have the video, but if you go out to XBTV and, dial it up, so to speak, you can look at the race to Touch Upon a Star 1 at Delta October 13th. That's the beauty of the replay library that you get if you are an ExpressBet member. Mm-hmm. And you're going to come away, if you watch that race, take the effort to go out and dial it up. And you're going to say, that horse, if they don't respect him, he's not coming back. And even at 1 1/8, I think he's got a very good chance to keep on going.
Let's change gears now and head to Aqueduct on Saturday, where the feature race will be the Garland of Roses, 6 furlong sprint for the fillies and mare. $120,000 purse, which at Aqueduct is about the same as an allowance race, the way things are going these days with the purses. Hot Peppers in here, one that we thought we might see around Breeders' Cup time. Also, Smash Ticket, another horse who may have had Breeders' Cup destinations at one point in time, but neither delivered in their final race before the Breeders' Cup, so they're here now. Is it a consolation prize and a tougher race than this $120,000 price tag might suggest, Jeff?
It is. I mean, Smash Ticket, who was my selection, she looked marvelous, really, when she won at Pimlico 2 races back. And I actually thought, and I wasn't the only one because she was 3 to 1. I mean, she won for 3 to 1, that she was a legitimate chance to win right back in the Raven run. I don't know what happened in that race. I kind of think the rail was a little dead that day, but not enough for her to run as poorly as she did. Yeah. But you can tell by the fractions, 46, 111, 124, 1. It was kind of a deep track, and maybe Smash Ticket kind of went to laboring a little bit and didn't run her race. But she's had a steady work pattern since. She's fresh, and she's more than fast enough to win this race on numbers if she were to run back to her Pimlico win. Now, she's going to have to deal with Hot Peppers, probably. But Smash Ticket can show that she can take heat. She's outside. Now she can pop and go or stalk if that's the issue. So I'm going to go with Smash Ticket here to win this race. Lightly race, won 4 out of 7. And on her best day, she's good enough. So let's go with number 5, Smash Ticket to win the Garland of Roses.
Let's give you one more to watch in here, that being Betsy Blue, because trainer Linda Rice yesterday at Aqueduct, Jeff, she sent out 5 horses, 3 won, 2 ran second. The barn's popping here to start the week. We'll see if that continues throughout the course of the weekend. But Betsy Blue going out for a hot Linda Rice barn there.
Coming back in, was it a week almost? So we'll see if
well,
Linda's done that.
There you
before.
go. The barn's going well, though.
Yeah.
And then you bring a horse back on a week while things are all rolling in the right direction. I'd rather see a horse coming back on short rest when the barn's hot like that than off a longer layoff. So one to consider there, Betsy Blue in the Garland of Roses at the Big A. Let's go to Oaklawn Park for the first time this season. Oaklawn opens today on Friday as we record our podcast. Their stakes schedule begins on Friday as well with the Advent Stakes, where the Iowa bred Tyler's Tribe in action today. But Saturday, we're going to look at 2 stakes races. They get in the holiday theme with the Ring the Bell and the Mistletoe Stakes. Let's start first, Jeff, with the Ring the Bell, $150,000, 6 furlongs. At Oaklawn, that's about an allowance race, too, at $150,000, the way their purses are going. But this is not an allowance race in terms of the quality of competition. These are some of the same horses you're going to see in the Count Fleet and some of the good sprint races, graded sprint races, as this meet progresses. One for Richie in here, a horse who loves Oaklawn, 7 for 12. Kavad was on the Arkansas Derby Trail last year, ran really well. Flash of Mischief made it all the way to the Breeders' Cup Sprint recently for Carl Broberg. Bulldor, Long Range Toddy, some names we know here at Oaklawn. This is, Oaklawn sprint ranks are pretty cool. We know Whitmore and horses like that over the years, but there's no turf racing. They only run 4 distances, basically, 5.5, 6, a mile and a mile and a 16th, occasionally a mile and an 8th for a stakes race. But, that's Oaklawn for you, right? I mean, the tough Midwestern sprinter on the main track. You can get a pretty good group of those horses if they stay together long enough to battle. And that's what we've got here. This is a good group of 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old type runners. Who'd you end up with?
Ended up with Flash of Mischief, although I obviously respect one for Richie. He's won 7 out of 12 here at Oaklawn, 13 race winner. And he's going to be part of the pace. A Flash of Mischief is probably not quite as quick as he's been a middle distance horse most of his career, but man, his race at Remington, your old backyard, 2 races back with the 104 Byron number and the pulverizing victory that he had there when he sat off the pace and blasted home. Probably try to do the same thing here. If he can get some room to rally from the rail, I think he's going to be able to sit 3rd or 4th and then go after the leaders. And if he runs back to his race before last, he can win. Now, he was unplaced in his last start, but that's the Breeders' Cup Sprint. I mean, come on,
Right.
That's I don't blame him for that. It was actually 20-1, which was not like 50-1 I mean,
right.
based on his
field.
and based on his previous win, you could see him running well. He was overmatched that day, but he isn't today. So at 7-2 in the morning line, he might be worth a gamble. So I'm going to go with number 1, Flash of Mischief, to win the Ring the Bell.
Now, watch jockey Christian Torres in there. He's the jock for Flash of Mischief. He is the leading jockey at Remington this meet. He was an apprentice at Gulfstream. He's come to the Midwest. He's latched on with good barns, and he's been going on his off days at Remington to go work horses at Oaklawn over the course of the last several weeks. This is a hardworking young guy who is going to contend for the riding title. I'll tell you that right now. He's going to contend for the riding title at Oaklawn this spring. He's going to get a lot of good mounts for Broberg, Diodoro, these kind of barns that he rode some for at Remington, and they're going to be high volume guys at Oaklawn. So Christian Torres, jockey to watch for sure. He rides Flash of Mischief. Jeff's picking there in the Ring the Bell Stakes. He'll head back to Remington where they've got, I believe, 8 days. After last night, I think we're down to 6 days or 7 days of racing left for the meet at Remington. So he'll do some double duty there with Oaklawn and Remington Park. Christian Torres, jockey to watch, young man doing really good things in that part of the country. 9th race on Saturday at Oaklawn is the Mistletoe Stakes. The co-featured stakes is a mile on the main track. Of course, mile races at Oaklawn begin and end at the 16th pole finish line, similar to what we see at Keeneland with some of their races finishing at the 16th pole. You want to be in contention turning for home. You could be a closer and win these kind of races. You just got to make your close on the turn. You're not going to do it straightening out for home and have as much of a chance. Jeff, $150,000 Mistletoe. Who are you giving the smooch to in this one?
Number 6 is Le Davida, a Chilean bred mare who's 5 turning 6, although she's certainly a young 6, though she will be in about a month because she was bred on Southern Hemisphere time and
Right.
started out her career in Chile and won some good races there. Not sure what the competition was, but she was imported and won her first 2 starts in the States in Kentucky. She won a nice second level allowance, 2 races back at Churchill, and did it stylishly in a 1-turn mile. Went 2 turns at Keeneland, and although she didn't change leads in this race, this allowance race, she earned a 90 bar number and won with some authority. And I'm not sure a whole lot more will be needed to win this listed stakes. La Vida, for me, is the 8-5 morning line favorite. I don't know whether she's offering value at that price, but she's got some upside maybe that the others don't. So I went with number 6, La Vida, based on the race at Keeneland that I thought was, other than the fact that she didn't change leads, was pretty nice.
Let's let fans see it for themselves.
Third, she's 5 from the front. Mariah's Princess has the lead. Will's Secret, Lay Da Vida, then Bye Bye Birdie, a wide 4th. Final furlong, Lay Da Vida. Coming on from the outside to challenge Mariah's Princess, then Will's Secret back toward the rail. Lay Da Vida, Vince Chaminade to the front. Lay Da Vida to win it. Mariah's Princess across the line in second. Will's
Among the others in there that will contend for favoritism here in the Mistletoe Stakes, Coach, the winner of the Pippin Stakes at Oaklawn earlier this year. So looking for 2 wins at Oaklawn in the same calendar year. As a 4-year-old, she won the Pippin back in January. So she'll try to close the year the way she started it. Then, she was a Kentucky Oaks horse back in 2021. So some class in this race, but Leda Vita on that good form. Jeff's top pick in here, 2 for 2 since coming to the U.S. Let's go now to Northern California, I should say, for our next handicapping test of the weekend. 2 races in California, 1 in NoCal, 1 in SoCal. We've got the Bear Fan Stakes coming up at Golden Gate Fields. Jeff, I know you're not a fan of the Cal Bears, are you?
I wish they weren't so horrible in both sports. I don't have any real, I don't have any dislike for them, but their basketball team may be literally the worst Division I team certainly they're the worst in a Power 5 conference. They haven't won a game yet. And the football team is the football team. Although there are several players, I must admit, on Cal's varsity football team that we are looking as portal transfers here at UCLA, and they don't even have to change the transcripts here, and still in the same system. So we've already got their main linebacker, and we're looking forward. So I like Cal, at least a few of their players. But basically they are not what they should be. But this race actually is better than it should be. I mean, you don't see too many stakes at Golden Gate Fields. First of all, they don't run that many, but the ones that they do often will get small fields. This one's got 11 entrants. This is a real legitimate stakes race. And in looking at this race, I mean, man, I there's so many angles and so many horses that have credentials to win it. Even though it is a stakes race, I'm going to go with a filly or actually a mare, 5 years old, that's coming off a win in the $25,000 claimer. Now, most of these horses are locally based, and they know. They've run against each other. And Lagatha, number 7, she's won 6 out of 17 lifetime over the all-weather, which is important to me at Golden Gate. Surface, you have to like it. 5 times second, so 11 out of 17. Real race mare, 5 years of age. She's been started and stopped on a few times, but man, I tell you what, even though this was a $25,000 claimer in her last start, she earned a career top number. Looked terrific doing it. Now she goes from a claiming race to a stakes. Obviously, she's doing well. I don't see any reason why she can't come back and win again.
There's not a ton of early speed in here. I mean, there's a little bit just to her inside, but she's got that style that keeps her out of trouble. And an 11-horse sprint like this on the Tapeta, that could be beneficial. Let's go back to that win that impressed you in that claiming race.
Turning for home. Lagatha still clear. Gale's Evening struggling in second. Kitty's Candy picking up pieces, but with a furlong to go, it's Lagatha well prepared off the layoff by trainer Reed France. She's back to her favorite surface, the Tapeta, and back to the winner's circle. Lagatha under the whip late, and she will win by 4 lengths. Gale's Evening second. Kitty's Candy third home. Then came Canamgal.
So it's Lagatha, Jeff's pick in the Bear Fan Stakes. Our
One
final
thing
handicap.
I wanted to point out one thing, Jeremy, before you move on. you look at that race. I don't know whether the rider there was. I don't know whether maybe he thought there was bonus points for how many lengths he won by. But you saw that race, and he's driving her to the wire. Now, I'm not sure what the motivation was, but if you look at the DRF comment, which is, you can either go to the chart or you can look at the past performances, it says easily best. And I wanted to point out, even though I do like her, for reasons that the fact that you pointed out there wasn't much pace in the race, that does not paint the proper picture. You have to watch the race yourself to really get a feel. She was clearly best by many lengths, but it was hardly easily. And you really should look at these replays if you want to and get a better picture on that. I picked her anyway because she has a significant edge on speed figures based on that race. And I'm assuming that she's okay and came out of the race because they're throwing her in a stakes race, whereas they could run her back for a tag again if they wanted to. But just, you got to do more than just, read the PPs. If you really want to get a feel for it. And, I'm picking her anyway, but that was not easily, I promise you.
Right. Good lesson there, though. Again, you use the comments as a little bit of a baseline, but there's no substitute for your own video work. It's one of the frontiers where you can separate yourself from the others, because a good studying eye overcomes people who don't put in that same kind of work. Let's go next to Los Alamitos on Saturday, where they are going to run the Starlet Stakes, grade 1 for the 2-year-old fillies. During the afternoon card, thoroughbreds, and then, of course, quarter horses at night on Champion and Champions Day. It's about as big a day as it gets at Los Alamitos when you go day-night doubleheader with the Starlet and the Champion and Champions, Jeff. The Starlet is our Express Bet Race of the Week. If you want my full analysis for that, you can get it each week in the Race of the Week on the email newsletter. Sign up for the free email newsletter at expressbet.com and on the First Bet app. So, Jeff, I didn't get creative in here. I thought it was Feza and Uncontrollable. To me, those are the top two, and I don't see it turning too much different. I know you were impressed by Feza's victory to open her career. Let's go back and take a look at that one at Del Mar, and you can tell us how you see the Starlet shaping up.
Tina Ella, the 5/16 pole, holds a short lead, but she's pressed hard all the way by Feza, and Feza now comes up to threaten to take that lead. They're in front by 2.5. Then it's AG Bullet and Lily Poo. Poetica's got 6 to make up. Miss Monarch Bay in the trailer is Princess Magic. Off the turn, and Feza has taken command emphatically, and Feza's opening up beautifully. Lily Poo chasing her home from second, but here's the next of these flashy Gervin first out winners, and Feza geared down, a filly with a future.
That's right, John Lee. She does have a future, and the future starts right away in grade 1 company out of that one. But when you spend $725,000 for one at the Timonium sale, Jeff, as a 2-year-old, you expect something like this, a quick return.
Well, that's impressive on the price. She breezed beautifully at Timonium. You can go back and watch that breeze if you like. It's still on the website there at Face Tipton. But to bring $725,000 by Gervin at that time,
right.
I can see it now because Gervin's had a terrific first crop, but nobody knew who Gervin was at the time. I mean, in terms of what potential and what success he may have as a 2-year-old sire, tells me how well regarded she was at that time. And she won her debut. She was 4-5 in the race. She ran fast. She earned a good number. She won with plenty left. She's a good mover. She didn't get loose in the lead and get brave. She stalked pace, put away the leader, and then drew off and won very convincingly from a next out maiden winner who won a very, very good maiden race. So kind of franking the form there. She's been 7/8 and 125 since that race as she stretches out. I like the 2 sprints and the stretch out angle, but if you're talking about a grade 1 race, you go for it. Bob Baffert has won the Starlet the last 5 years in a row, 8 overall. This is traditionally not a real strong Starlet race. In fact, none of Bob's 5 recent Starlet winners did not ever come back and win another grade 1. So this is their best chance. And I think that's what he's thinking here with the 3 that he's got. Feza doing it the hard way from the rail, and then Uncontrollable. But I think of the 3, if you watch the race, you come away and you say, okay, the other 2 are good, but they're not Feza. So Feza to me, 7-5 on the morning line with Pratt. Let's see if she is going to be able to win this race like a filly that you would expect can go on and be something more than just a Los Alamitos Stakes winner. And I think that she's got the potential to do that.
Uncontrollable, the other one in here, worth a look, I think. Runner-up in the Chandelier against Open Company. She's a cowbred, a rare cowbred owned by Mike Rapoli. I don't know what he's doing with a cowbred, but he's got this one with Mike McCarthy. And, Uncontrollable comes off a good effort behind And Tell Me No Lies. Justique, the third-place finisher in that race, came back to win last week in Stakes Company at Del Mar. So I would think Uncontrollable with two-turn experience, right? The Chandelier already at a mile and a 16th to Santa Anita would have a little bit of a fitness and foundation edge, I guess. More foundation than fitness. These horses are all plenty fit to go the mile and the 16th, but a little foundation there with Uncontrollable. But I think probably ends up second best. To me, it just looks like a cold exacta, Jeff.
I think so. And by the way, Uncontrollable second was almost 5 clear of Justique, who's a really good filly. I know that Justique didn't run well in the Chandelier, but she came back and won very nicely in her next start. And I think she's going to be a force in the division after the first of the year. But Uncontrollable by Upstart and Out of America by Include. I mean, she's got rising speed figures with every start. She's bred to run long. She's had that, experience, and has a bullet 59 breeze December 2nd at Santa Anita just 8 days ago. I think she is a slam dunk second horse in the exacta behind Feza.
If you're playing there with Express Bet and First Bet and the Starlet Stakes, and Feza's a short price, look to the pick 4. Single in the pick 4, perhaps the way to go, because the late pick 4, you get a $4,000 hit and split every single racing day of this short meet at Los Alamitos. When you bet with First Bet and Express Bet, $4,000 late pick 4 hit and split. That means if you hit the pick 4, you get your pari-mutuel winnings, but then you'll split an additional $4,000 just amongst the other players on the First Bet and Express Bet platforms who also take it down. So you might be adding several $100s to your return in the late pick 4 if only a handful of people take it down, as the case happens often. So if you're looking there at Los Al, late pick 4, playing with First Bet and Express Bet. Also want to tell you about $10 money back special in terms of the wagering promotions this weekend with Hong Kong racing on Saturday night. It's the Hong Kong International races, 4 Group 1 stakes races. They call it the Turf World Championships, and we've got a couple big races in Hong Kong where horses from Breeders' Cup, Broome, names that you're going to know, for Aidan O'Brien showing up, some of the top Japanese horses showing up. We've also have Golden 60, the 7-year-old, who's the 2-time horse of the year in Hong Kong, running in the Hong Kong Mile. We're going to get a preview of that race in just a moment, but the money back special with Hong Kong, Jeff, $10 win bets, up to $10 back if your win bet finishes second or third on any of these Hong Kong races, beginning at 11:25 Eastern. Right now, we're going to get a preview from the Hong Kong Jockey Club's Mark McNamara. He's got a British handicapper, Graham Cunningham, and Australian handicapper, Steve Moran. They're going to look at the Hong Kong Mile and the 2-time horse of the year, Golden 60.
Golden 60, Graham. Do they beat him? Can they beat him?
Anything is possible. But I think this is the most exciting horse on the planet visually, and has been for several years. The great thing about this weekend, he's the literal poster boy of Hong Kong racing. His poster with Vincent on top is up all over town, and he's the ultimate pandemic horse, Steve, in that he blossomed into a big star just when racing went behind closed doors with his Derby win almost 3 years ago, and almost 3 years on, he is, I think and hope, at the peak of his powers.
Well, he's won 22 of 25. It would be nothing but churlish to suggest that he is anything but a world-class horse. And in his past 2 wins in this race, he has accounted for Japanese horses who'd run very well in the Mile Championship. That's the same scenario this year. Of course, he's not unbeatable. They all can be beaten. But what a wonderful horse he is. When we chatted to Zach this morning, Zach said, he's the best horse I've seen in Hong Kong in my time. And I said to Manfred Mann, you've seen a lot more horses than Zach, this little upstart. And Manfred said, I think Golden 60 is the best horse I have seen in all my time.
I enjoyed watching that. There was a beautiful little bit of byplay subplot. I'm sure Zach didn't know, but he was saying, I think the only way you can beat Golden 60 is if he has bad luck in running. Meanwhile, stage right, Vincent Ho is waiting to come on and be grilled by Steve. And Vincent was... And it wasn't a flex by Zach, unusually, but it was a lovely little bit of, how shall we say, mind games.
Yep, all right. And his win over California Spangle was enormous last time, Steve.
Absolutely. given the sections he had to run, maybe you could make an argument that Zach went fractionally too slow on California Spangle. He'll be competitive again. Is there a little wild card to run a place or taking the first 4, Beauty Joy, back to the mile after just being too keen at 2,000 metres?
He can do that, can't he?
He's a mercurial horse, but in raw ability, he's there. I think this is fascinating tactically and in every way. I think California Spangle is a top-class horse. I think he's training like a monster, and I think even if Golden 60 is right there on his A game, I think the Spangle can put it up to him. So I really can't wait for this race. Tactically, it is compelling.
So that's the Hong Kong Mile, part of 4 major stakes races. Full card begins 11:25 Eastern from Shock Tin. You can bet it with Express Bet and First Bet, and when you do, you get a $10 money back special, up to $10 back if your win bet in any of these races on the Hong Kong International Races card finishes 2nd or 3rd. So be sure to take advantage of that. And thanks to the Hong Kong Jockey Club for the extra content there to help our players. Jeff, I'm not very familiar with Hong Kong racing. I can't stay up that late. I did stay up late enough to watch Baker rally the Rams last night, but 11:25 first post. I'm good for Champion of Champions is 11:28 final post, but 11:25 first post. I'm glad to get the handicapping help.
Yeah, I mean we got 3 hours or a 3-hour break on that, so I might watch it for sure.
You're just getting warmed up for the night by then.
Yeah, right. I had a good experience about almost 20 years ago there. I didn't go, but I had a race mare named Iridescence running a $2 million race, and she managed to win and beat the late great Ouija board in that race. So she was an outstanding race mare, and I was screaming at the computer watching it live. I was screaming. Even then, they still had it over at Hong Kong, and that was kind of exciting. That was my only experience with Hong Kong racing. But I tell you what, I would love to go over there someday and watch it. I mean, it's kind of throwback because they actually get the big crowds there still, and it's always fun to go to a race, big racing when there is some people there, and it gives it the appearance or the feeling that it is a big day, and it is.
And that's what they're excited about this year, because with the pandemic, the past couple of years, they haven't had the crowds for this big night. This is going to be the first time back since 2019 for them with this kind of, lead in and pomp and circumstance into the races. So it'll be good. Tune in late Saturday night, East Coast time, 11:25 Eastern, for the first race on the program. Again, Aidan O'Brien's got some horses that have been Breeders' Cup, Broom et al. Are running on the program. So be sure to check that out. You can get past performances and all the information you need at expressbet.com. And on the First Bet app, be sure to download and get in there and get wagering for that money back special. Again, up to $10 back if your win bet finishes 2nd or 3rd. Jeff, that's going to wrap up this interesting and eclectic weekend of racing previews. We're Losau and Oaklawn opening days today, so be sure to get in on that. The Champion of Champions, the Hong Kong International races, closing day at Woodbine on Sunday, so everything must go there in terms of the wagering pools, so there'll be mandatory payouts. Same goes for Golden Gate on Sunday. It's the end of the season. They start back on December 26th, but it's the end of the meet at Golden Gate, so there'll be mandatory payouts there as well on Sunday. So a lot of good action and a lot of opportunities to take advantage of some of these situations.
Yeah, I got some good, decent prices to try here. It's not just all chalk. So, hopefully we'll make some money this weekend and then get cranked up and ready for the day after Christmas, both at Gulfstream Park at Santa Anita.
Yeah, for more content on the December 26th, the December to remember date, be sure to check out First Bet and Express Bet in the blog sections. Something every day leading up to the 26th, the history of those races, some handicapping angles, a lot of interesting nuggets. When the nominations are out for those, we'll get you updated with who may be running in those December 26th races. So be sure to check that out at the blog section at First Bet and Express Bet. On behalf of everybody at First, my partner Jeff Siegel, I'm Jeremy Plonk. Good luck at the races wherever they may take you this weekend.